class. How is everyone today? I hope everyone's doing well. Today's Friday, believe it or not. The days go quickly. It's the last school day of the week. Friday, January the 15th, 2021. If today is Friday, you know what yesterday was. Yes? Thursday. And what will tomorrow be? Friday, Saturday. I'm looking out my window and it is cloudy and snowy. And we know that means our season is winter time. Well, one more day of talking about the letter O. We can see the two curves coming around, and on the other side. There we go. And if we start at the arrow, we can join those two curves all the way together without stopping. Start at the top, always at the top, and come all the way around back to the top again. And there we have our uppercase O. We see that there is orange in the corner. So when we say orange, do we hear the sound that O says ah, or do we hear its name? Orange. If you said that we hear its name, you're correct, because O is a vowel. It says its sound, ah, on, off, and it says its own name, like in the word orange, O. Don't forget to look in the back of your package for your bracelet. You can make it into a bracelet and glue it, or you can use it as a bookmark. And we have some O words. Octopus, it's saying its sound. Ostrich, otter. They all start with the sound that O makes of ah. For the JKs, don't forget to put your O cards on your ring. You're going to trace around the uppercase O and the lowercase o, and there's a hole there for you to put it on your ring. And here you have an uppercase O, a lowercase o, and a picture of an octopus. Also, there's a hole, there should be a hole in the corner, so you can put both of these cards on your ring. And by the time we get done the whole alphabet, you'll have a ring of alphabet cards from A to Z. And SKs, you've got your own O card with the uppercase O and the lowercase o with a hole in the corner for you to put on your alphabet ring. One more time, let's make that O together. You can make it on the floor, on the table, in the air, or on a piece of paper, starting at the top, coming all the way. Oh, it's a little tricky for Mrs. Peddler sometimes when I'm looking at the computer to get the direction going correctly. Let me do it and then I'll show it to you. Starting at the top, I'm coming around and I'm going all the way back to the top again. And there we have our uppercase O. Now let's practice our lowercase o together. Starting at the top, coming all the way around, back up to the top again. And there we go. I'm sure by now that you are experts at writing your uppercase and lowercase o's. So because it's Friday, we get to do our letter craft page. And SKs, you're going to, of course, do your craft page for your uppercase O, and there's a picture of an octopus there. If you read the instructions in the back, it will tell you what to do for your craft page. Color the octopus and the letter O with crayons. To make tentacles, dip your pencil eraser in some pink paint, or maybe color it with a pink marker if you have one, and then you can dab it onto the bottom of the octopus's tentacles And those little circles on the bottom are sticky, and if you use pink, and even if you don't have a pencil eraser that you can dip in pink paint or color with a pink marker, you can just color those little circles pink. And you could also paint the ocean blue or color it blue. And those are your instructions for your craft page. And I know that you'll do your very neatest work coloring and painting and making your octopus look beautiful. Now for the S case, you're going to do your lowercase O page, and it is an otter. There he is, splashing in the water. Color the otter and the letter lowercase o with crayons. Draw circles on the page to represent splashes of water. And color or paint the mudslide brown. So you're going to color the splashes of water blue, color the otter brown, and color the lowercase o, whatever color you want, color or paint the mudslide brown. Have fun with that. And then SKs, when you're done your craft page, you'll also need to do your cut and paste page. You're going to cut out the pictures below that start with the letter O. There's 4 of them, so one of them does not belong. Just pick the 3 that do belong and put them in the 3 squares above. We have ostrich, octopus, olives, and a hen. So I'm sure you'll be able to figure out which one does not start with O. Moving right along, once you've finished, I know you can't get this done that quickly, but once you have finished your craft pages, we're going to move on to math, talking about our 3D and 2D shapes. This will be our last day talking about shapes. Next week we'll start a new math unit, and we're going to talk about patterns next week. But I've got a fun booklet for you to finish up our lessons on shapes. It says, My Book About Shapes. And it says, this book belongs to, and there's a line there for you to print in your neatest printing your name. Now, you have 2 pieces of paper. You need to put them together to make your book. So first, get the page that says My Book About Shapes and put it down flat on the table. Then get the other page. It says on one side, here's a sphere, this ball is a sphere, here is a square, this book is a square. And put that on top of the other page. So when you have this on top of this, then you're going to see in the middle the triangle page. So this will be on the bottom, My Book About Shapes, and the triangle page and the cone page will be on the top. Then, when you have them placed flat on top of each other, you're going to fold them, both pages, in the middle on the black line together. And you're going to turn these 2 pages into 4 pages, and that's going to be your book. I'm sure there's an adult or a grown-up there that can help you put your book together. Once you have it put together with 4 pages, you can staple it if you like, or put a string through it. And this is what your book will say. My Book About Shapes. Your name will be on the bottom. Open the first page. Here is a circle. This cookie is a circle. So a circle is pretty flat. It's mostly 2D. There's a flat circle. If we see it on the page, then it's really flat. On the next page, here is a sphere. This ball is a sphere. So here's a ball. When we see it drawn on the page, it's 2 dimensions. It's wide and tall. When we hold it, we can see it's tall, long and wide, 3 dimensions, and we can hold on to it. This ball is a sphere. Our globe is a sphere. An orange is a sphere. You can see spheres all around you in the world. Turn the page. We see this is a triangle. This roof is a triangle. So the triangle drawn on the page over here is 2D, but the triangle on the roof of your house is 3D. We could actually, if it was safe to go up there, we could touch that roof and put it between our fingers. But of course it isn't. So we're just going to look at it on the picture here. But I also have this 3D triangle here from our box of shapes, and I can definitely hold on to this. If I hold it straight ahead, it looks like a flat triangle, but if I turn it around, we can see all the sides, and we can see that it's a 3D shape. It has a square on the bottom, and 4 triangles on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the next page is, here is a cone. This hat is a cone. And we also know that this is a cone. This is an ice cream cone that I got from my cupboard. It's a waffle cone. Do you like waffle cones? You can pretend it's a hat. Oop, there's some pieces coming out of it. Anyways, that's our cone. And that's a 3D cone because I can hold on to it. Next page says, here is a square. This book is a square. And here I have a book that's a square. I can hold on to it. It's thick. It's a 3D book. This cube, remember a 3D square is a cube. And in my cup, I got some ice cubes out of my ice maker, and they're melting here, but they used to be cubes. Let's see what we have, and it says, that's what it says here on this page. Here is a cube. This ice is a cube. On the back of the book, the very last page, it says, I can match the shapes. So your job for this book is to fold it together, to print your name neatly at the front and on the back to match the 2D shapes with the 3D shapes. A triangle, what would it match with? A circle, would it match with a sphere, a cone, or a cube? A square, would the square match with a sphere, a cone, or a cube? And a circle, would that match with a sphere, a cone, or a cube? I know that you can do that and match those shapes up, no problem. And then you'll have your very own shape book. Maybe your mom or dad or an adult could read it to you, and then maybe you could read it back to them by looking at the pictures and understanding what's on the pages. Have fun with that, and this is going to, when you want to remember what we learned about shapes, this little book will help you to remember all that we've talked about these past 2 weeks about 2D shapes and 3D shapes. Okay, well, what have we been talking about in Bible this week? That's right, we've been talking about the word confidence. Confidence means that we do not need to be afraid because we know who is with us. If we've asked Jesus to be with us, he's with us all the time. And when we are afraid or we're trying something new that's difficult or something is upsetting us, we know we can talk to him. We also know we can talk to adults that love us and take care of us. But we also know that we can be confident that we are special, that we're good at different things. We can be confident to be ourselves, that we don't have to be like anybody else because Jesus made us the way we are, and he just wants us to be ourselves. So if someone in your class or your family is good at music, and you're good at sports, or maybe you're good, really good at school, or good at artwork, or there's so many different things that we can be good at. It's okay to be good at something different than a person beside you. So you be confident to be who God made you to be. And we remember that we don't need to be afraid when we know who our helper is. The Lord is with me. I will not be afraid. Let's say it together. The Lord is with me. I will not be afraid. And where's that found? Psalm 118, verse 6. Let's say it once more together, and then I'd like each one of you to say it all by yourself to whoever is with you there. The Lord is with me. I will not be afraid. Psalm 118, verse 6. And I would love to get your videos again this week of you saying that verse all by yourself. I know that you'll do an awesome job, just like you did last week. Let's pray now together. Dear Jesus, thank you for being with us all week long. Thank you that you love us, you made us, and you want us to feel confident. Thank you that we can talk to you anytime. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Now, yesterday we were talking about the different seasons, and we mentioned that in wintertime, some animals go away to a warmer climate where it's not winter because they can't live in the cold climate. Some animals stay here and they grow really thick fur. Sometimes deer's feet get wider in the wintertime, so they have traction. Some animals just go away into a cave or a den underground and sleep for the whole winter long, and that's called hibernation. We're going to read about what different animals do in the winter in our story time. And before we do that, let's just take a little break to stretch, to go to the bathroom, to have a snack, whatever you need to do. Let's stretch together right now. Reach for the sky. Pretend you're an angel. Angel wings. Touch your nose. Hands on your hips. Twist one way, twist the other way. Deep breath in. Let it out slowly. Open your hands. Shut your hands. Open them. Shut them. Give a little clap. Open them. Shut them. Open them. Shut them. Fold them in your lap. I hope you're sitting in a really comfortable place and you enjoy our story time as we learn about animals in the winter. And there's a little mouse there collecting some berries. Do you think he's getting ready for the winter? The days grow short. The nights grow long. So remember, when the earth is tilting farther away from the sun, our days are shorter. We get less sunshine. And the dark hours, are longer because winter is coming. Leaves have fallen down from the trees. There are no berries on the bushes. Insects are all gone. The grass is dead and brown. So we know what season that is, right? The leaves have fallen down, it's fall. But the children are still having fun with those leaves outside. They have jackets on, but not winter coats yet. Birds and other animals are getting ready for winter. Some of the birds will fly south. Bluebirds and orioles go towards the south. They go where it is warm and sunny and where there's food for them to eat. When spring comes, the birds will make the long journey back north. They migrate. So some birds are able to stay here for the winter, but some birds go where it's warmer, like the orioles and the bluebirds. They need to go where it's warmer. And when it becomes spring and winter's over, they come back. That's called migration. Migration. Some butterflies migrate too. That's what the monarch butterflies do. They gather in a tree by the hundreds before cold weather comes. So they gather together in a group with hundreds of butterflies. They stay in the tree all night. In the morning, after they've all gathered together, they fly towards their winter homes in the south. Isn't that pretty? There they've all gathered together, and the next morning they're going to fly in a group south. A lot of them go to Mexico. And then they come back in the springtime, and what's that called? Migration. Many bats fly south too, but some bats stay in the north all winter. When the weather gets cold, they go to a cave. There is no wind or snow in the cave, and the bats sleep there all winter. So some bats migrate to a warmer climate. Some stay here, but the ones that stay here hibernate in a cave. That means they sleep all winter long. They do not eat. They live on fat that's stored inside them. They do not move, and they hardly even breathe. Their breathing slows down. Because they're sleeping, they don't need as much oxygen in their blood. They don't need as much energy to move around, so their breathing slows down. They sleep, sleep, sleep. They hibernate. So there's some bats flying south to migrate, and here's some bats staying in the cold northern weather in a cave, sleeping, and that's called hibernation. Two different things that animals do in the wintertime. Some migrate, some hibernate. Woodchucks hibernate too. When fall comes, a woodchuck eats and eats and eats. He eats grass, twigs, and leaves, and he grows fat. When it gets cold, the woodchuck crawls into his long tunnel and goes to sleep. There's the woodchuck getting fat, eating some grass, and look at his den. It's got different rooms and long tunnels. He's got lots of room there underneath the ground, and that's where he's going to sleep all winter long. Does he sleep for a day? Longer than that. Does he sleep for a week? Longer than that. A month? Even longer. A woodchuck can sleep as long as 4 months. So if he started sleeping in December, that will be December, January, February, and March. And he wouldn't wake up till the end of March. There he is sleeping in his den. The woodchuck seems hardly alive because he's sleeping in such a deep sleep and he's not moving and his breathing has slowed way down. He doesn't need much oxygen because he looks like he's not moving and he almost looks like he's dead. He breathes very slowly. His heart beats very slowly. He sleeps, sleeps, sleeps. He hibernates. So when we're moving around a lot, running, walking, we need lots of energy and oxygen. But when we're sleeping, we don't need as much energy or oxygen, so our heart doesn't need to work as hard. So then when an animal is hibernating, their breathing slows down. Some animals do not have to hibernate. They gather food and they save it for the winter. That's what a pika does. A pika looks like a little rabbit, but with round ears. Pikas live in high mountains where winters are long and cold. They eat grass. In the summer, they cut more grass than they can eat. They spread the grass on the flat stones, and the hot sun dries it. So there's the pika in the summertime, eating grass. Then he spreads it in his den so he can have a soft carpet. And in the summertime, it dries in the sun. By the end of summer, a pika may have gathered 50 pounds of grass. That's a lot of grass. She hides it under the rocks. In the winter, she eats the dry grass, and it keeps her alive. So in the summer, she eats green grass, but she collects much more than she can eat. So she has lots of extra grass that dries out in the sun, and there's her store of extra grass that she can sit on and that she can eat in the winter time. So her cave keeps her warm and dry, and the dry grass fills her stomach. So the pikas do not need to go south or where it's warm, and they don't need to go to sleep in the winter. Squirrels gather food too and save it for the winter. They dig holes in the ground and they bury hickory nuts and acorns underneath the ground. So there they are, busy in the fall, gathering nuts and burying them. And then in the winter, they dig them up and eat them because they know where they hid them. But if they hadn't hid them in the fall, they wouldn't be able to find them underneath the snow in the winter. Sometimes squirrels do forget where they buried the nuts. Then trees grow from those acorns that the squirrels forgot. But fortunately, he can find a lot of the nuts that he hid, and there he is in the wintertime digging up a nut to eat. And the fur keeps him warm. Some animals do not get ready for winter at all. They do not store food, they do not hibernate, they do not migrate. They must hunt for food all winter long. There are mice that must hunt all winter long for seeds of goldenrod, asters, and other wild plants. Sometimes they eat farmers' corn, oats, and wheat. So mice try to get inside in the wintertime to warmer places like barns or even houses. And here's some mice that have gotten into a barn, and they're eating through the bags of oats. Deers must dig in the snow for dried leaves, plants, and moss. So even though there's no more nuts or berries, the deer dig underneath the snow for dried up, fallen off leaves, plants, and moss. When the snow is deep, they must eat twigs that are sticking out of the snow and the bark off the trees. So the deer have to work very hard in the wintertime to find food. And they get skinnier in the wintertime because there isn't a lot of food. But you can see that they have very warm fur. And like I said before, their hooves spread out wider in the wintertime to help them have good traction in the snow and ice. Kind of like snowshoes. The rabbit must hunt under the snow for bits of grass and plants. That must be very hard to find. When the snow is deep, he too eats the buds and the bark off of the bushes that are sticking out of the snow, just so that he can stay alive. So it's hard for the bunny rabbit to find food to eat, but at least he's warm with his fur coat. And he has flat, wide feet also that help him to walk in the snow. In the winter, the fox hunts for mice and rabbits. So those mice and rabbits that are sticking around in the wintertime have to watch out because the fox is also hungry in the wintertime and he's looking for those mice and rabbits to eat. The fox has discovered a mouse in its tunnel beneath the snow. Uh-oh, see the poor little mouse in its tunnel? The fox is about to pounce on him. When the winter is cold and the snow is deep, many animals cannot find food. So here's some ways that you could help animals in the wintertime. You could put out a bird feeder. See the bird feeder right here on the pole? You can hang popcorn on a scarecrow. You could hang a bag of lard or suet or shortening on a twig. Stick fruit and cheese on a dead branch. Make a peanut and popcorn garland for a scarecrow. Nail a sunflower head to a post or a fence. So after the sunflowers are dried up in September, they still have some seeds sticking out of them. You can put one of those dried up heads on a fence and then the birds will eat the seeds. And there's the bird feeder. Those are all ways that you can help animals that stay around in the wintertime that don't have much food. You could also hang an ear of corn on a tree for squirrels and chipmunks. See the ear of corn there? There's a bird house for shelter and a bird feeder. Plant bushes or shrubs around your house that have berries in the wintertime. That's another way. But please remember, once you begin feeding birds and other wild animals in the winter, you need to continue because they're going to rely on that food that you've been putting out for them. And if you stop all of a sudden, then they won't know what to do. They're depending on the food that you supply. Well, we can see that the season has changed on this next page. What season do you think it is? Eventually, the days grow longer because remember, we learned yesterday that the earth is tilting, moving slowly, and it's moving closer to the sun, and the days start to get longer. We get more sunshine, and winter turns into spring. I hope you've learned a lot about winter animals and that you will be kind to the animals no matter what season it is. And I hope that you enjoy watching animals that stick around in the wintertime. I also hope that you're enjoying the winter weather and getting outside and having some fun. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll get together again on Monday. Bye for now.